Hi everyone. I hope you're having a really nice weekend and a restful weekend as well. Um, Thanks for listening in. I know for some of you, getting access to technology is a little bit harder or it's more difficult. But if you're listening to this, great job. Uh, you're doing what you need to do. So let's get right to it, okay? Um, before you before we go into the actual lesson, which is to uh, incorporate citations accurately in text and also accurately write an MLA cited works cited page, we need to, before we do that, we need to preview how to incorporate hyphens and M dashes inside your papers, because what I saw in your rough drafts were an inaccurate use of or inaccurately incorporated use of the N and M dash. So this is what I mean, okay? For some of you, if you look at, so just go ahead and follow my cursor here. Hopefully you can see it. For some of you, if I think at least most of you wrote or used a hyphen accurately, so you put chicken wired fence. Okay, there's my example, and this is an example of a hyphen. Okay, so I think everybody's pretty good on that. What I think people got confused on were like the N and M dashes. So for example, if I wrote he lived from 1930 to 1940s. Okay, now this is uh, an N dash. Notice how the hyphen changed to a little bit longer of a line. The reason why that happens is because, I'll show you, when I put 1930, okay, I'm pressing a space bar and then I'm pressing the hyphen button, which is above the P, okay, and I'm pressing space again, putting in 1940, and then you have to press space again for it to change, okay. Now, lastly, I want to go over how to incorporate the M dash accurately. So let's say we want to emphasize a point, and I want to say, I love you, okay, only you. Okay, on this one, this is exactly what we're doing, alright? So the N dash changed only because, or the hyphens changed only because here I pressed in two hyphen lines, okay? But notice how there's no space here. If you look here, there's no space, okay? There's no space between the U and the hyphen. And I'm not going to put a space afterwards either. Only, and at this point, after you type in your word, the next time you hit the space bar, it'll change automatically. Watch. There it is, like so. Okay? So hopefully you now have a better idea of how to incorporate the N and M dashes and the hyphens. Now, if you don't, go ahead and replay what we went over so far, or what I've went over so far. And I think you just need to practice it on your computer keyboard. Okay. All right, let's move on to the actual lesson for today. So here are the goals. Okay. By the end of this video, this is what I want you to be able to do. Now, at least in most academic settings, at least in high school, most of the time our citations are formatted to this style. Okay, it's Modern Language Association MLA format. Okay, now I have right here APA format, not because we're going to be emphasizing this right now, but because we might be doing something on Monday with it. Okay, but for today, we're going to be focusing on how to incite accurately in the Modern Language Association, or with this style. Okay, and now you might be wondering to yourself, why do we have so many different styles? Oops, this is not it. We have, there it is. Okay, so in this video right here, in this website, it can give you a little bit more in-depth information about which genres usually uses which what kind of, I guess, citing style, okay? Now, if you are doing more of a psychological or educational and like social science research, you'll be using the APA style. This is not really important right now. I just think that it might be important for you if you have questions like why we use different styles, right? Well, here they are. These different genres have different expectations, and that's why people uh, format in different styles. So let's return back to our citations here. So let's say we want to cite, inside of our sentences, okay? And this is what some of you actually wrote. So here's a non-example, okay? Let's say you wrote, Mr. Harding said, comma, and apostrophe, and blah, 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 whatever your, quote, textual evidence is, and then you put your period here. Now this is the problem within this non-example, okay? First of all, after you have a lead-in phrase, right, here's our lead-in phrase, you want to put the comma there, and then you want a space in between, okay? And after the space between, you want to put your quote first, and then you put in the textual information that you want to put in, or the textual evidence, then you put the end quote, put a space, notice the space here, okay? And then you put the parentheses with the author's last name, space, and the page number. Here our page number is 183, okay? And then the period comes after. Regardless of whether the sentence ends here in the text, in the actual text, your actual period comes at the end. Notice it comes after the page citation, okay? Now, I just want to stress something really quickly. Here, in the first example, we only have the page number, whereas in the second, we have the author and the page number, okay? Now, in most papers, if you're only using one source, you don't really need to include the author's last name if the professor or teacher already knows which source you're using. So, for example, in our final assignment, it would be redundant for you to put Casey for every single textual evidence that you use, right? Because I think it would just take up more paper space than anything. So, for your final assignment, what I would expect is this, right? Space 183. And that'll be good enough for me because I already know what text you're using. And let's say you, the text that you're using, or the textual evidence that you're using, actually goes from 183 to 184. Now this is also redundant too because it's already in the hundreds, so all you need to do is 183 to 84. And it's already assumed that you're going from page 183 to 184. Hopefully that clarifies some things. Alright, so this is an example that we do want. Alright, let's move on. So what happens when you have more than one source that you're trying to cite in an essay? So for example, let's say the prompt was, compare the following two texts and explain how one gains or loses power. And you know, we had we've already read two different novels. First, we read a thing called Far from Shinwa Achibi, and the other one, this one, the One Flew Over Cuckoo's Nest. So let's say we're in the outline portion of the writing process, and I have an example outline here for you. Clearly, we're missing a thesis here, but that's not the point. The point here is that, look, let's say in one of the body paragraphs, our textual evidence was this, right? Here you can see that I have my lead-in phrase, my quote, space, the author's last name, the page number, and then the period at the end. Similarly, if we look at the second body paragraph, we have the same exact thing, right? We have the lead-in phrase, we have the actual text that I want to use, author's last name, and the page number. And then we'll, at least in this example, the sentence continues on and then the period ends over here. Okay. So here are two different citations. Now, because there are two different citations or two different cited sources, what you need to do is at the very end of your essay, you need to include a works cited page. Okay? And so, oops, this one, I can erase that. So, a works cited page is basically a collection of all the different citations that you included. And I wish you could just easily somehow copy and paste this and just make a bullet point of some sort like that. But that is not how you do a correct works cited page. Okay, so there are different tools that you can use. It gets very complicated if you want to do this by yourself on your own. So instead, most people just use tools online, and that's what we're going to be focusing on for the last 5 minutes. Okay, online. Okay, when you go to just go ahead and go into Google, and in the middle punch in Noodle Tools. Okay, when you punch in Noodle Tools, you come to this site right here. Now, you want to click on the first, I think the first link that pops up. However, you want to be clicking on the Noodle bid. Okay, now some of you already know this, so if you know this, good for you, really. But if you don't know this, bear with me, okay? I mean, that should be the other way around. If you do know this, bear with me. If you don't know this, continue on, okay? Now, there's already 3 different ways that this tool, or this online tool, will help cite for you. So just click on the one the style that you want to choose, okay? In our situation, it would be MLA. Now you just follow the follow directions here, and for us, we're trying to cite a book, so you choose book here, okay? Alrighty, so now you're going to come to this page. Clearly, you need to fill out some things here, right? Now, there are sometimes portions of the book that you don't necessarily need to fill out if it doesn't have it. For example, we don't have a volume for One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, right? Okay, so what you want to do is, so let's say we want to put in Ken Kesey's, cite Ken Kesey's novel first, One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, right? So what we would do is we would write Ken, he's the author, he doesn't have a middle name, as far as I know right now, Kesey. Title of the book is One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. Alright, and the publisher is oops. Hold on, I'm going to grab my book just a second. Alright, so you can find the publisher and the publication city and the year usually within the inside of the book, okay? So it's a couple pages inside and before the actual first pages. Here it says in my book, Signet, the publication city was New York, and the year it was published, it was the year it was published in 1963. Okay. All right, so a real quick reminder that your ear, the publishing ear, is not the copyright ear. There are 2 distinct numbers, so be careful that you don't put in the wrong number. Okay, so let's just say these are the I guess information that you have so far within your book, and you don't have anything else. Like we don't have a second edition for this book or series name, right? What you want to do is go to the very bottom and press the submit button. If you filled out everything that you could or you can, then you press the submit button. And after you press the submit, the citation will be right here for you. Okay, and it does it for you. That's the nice thing about Noodle Tools. Otherwise, you would have to type in these portions in this format on your own, and it gets very annoying. So you can either press right click and press copy, or for me I use the shortcut key, so Control C. Okay. I'll go back to my document, and voila, there it is. And I'm going to change that to Times New Roman, size 12. Okay. Okay, great. There it is. All right. You would do the same thing for things fall apart. You go back to Noodle Tools. Right. Let's create a new citation. Oops. Go to books. Create citation. And you start the process all over again. Okay? Alright. So for Monday, this is all you need to know for now. And Monday, depending on how much time we have, we'll get to do a group activity. And perhaps if we have time, and depending on if the smaller computers work, we'll be able to use this software. It's called Zotero, and this is a very useful and effective tool, especially for those of you who are going to college next year. Okay. What I would like for you to do is go back to the video if you don't understand, and go ahead and email me if you feel like you don't understand any parts of the steps. Okay. Now, if you can, what I would like for you to do is go ahead and bring your own computer. I think it would be very helpful for it'll be very helpful for me if you can bring your own computer in order to I guess use for the class activity, and also if you can actually start using Zotero on your own computer. That would be more practical. Okay? Alright, I'll see you on Monday.